In this next video, we're going to use the sine ratio to find the length of a missing side, in this case marked x. First, we can determine that this is a right-angled triangle. It's not labeled, so we can use a protractor to confirm that it is indeed a right-angled triangle. And we can see that it is. Next, we have to identify the sides. So if this is the right angle, then that makes this the hypotenuse. If this is the angle we're given, then that makes this side the opposite, and this side the adjacent. We won't worry about the adjacent side right now. Now, as we look at this question further, we're going to start using something you may not be familiar with, which is the sine function on a calculator. The sine ratio is this. The sine of an angle equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Now, with that, we can substitute the different values in from the triangle. The angle in degrees is 30, so we'll substitute 30 degrees in for this A. We don't know what the value of the opposite side is, so we'll identify that as x and substitute it here. And we do know that the value of the hypotenuse, the length of the hypotenuse, is 15. So we'll substitute that in there, giving us sine of 30 degrees equals x over 15. Now, as I tidy that up, we can see that we need to figure out what the sine of 30 degrees is. On your calculator, you may need to press sine first and then 30, or you might press 30 and then sine, depending on whether your calculator displays as you input numbers or not. Check with me personally if you have questions about that. If you find the sine of 30 though on your calculator, you will determine that it is 0.5. And we're not going to change this side of the equation, so we'll just write equals x over 15. Now, the next step, we need to use the multiplication principle to isolate the variable x. We want the x all by itself on one side of the equation. So the opposite of dividing by 15 is multiplying by 15. And if we do that to one side, then we must do it to the other. .5 multiplied by 15 is 7.5. And on the other side of the equation, all we have left is x. So now we know that the length of the the length of the opposite side is 7.5. Which makes sense if the hypotenuse is 15. That is how you use the sine ratio to find the length of an opposite side of a right triangle.